Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers vehicle exhaust laws, delaying a peace officer, and international treaties, and is brought to us by Daily Driven Exotics' channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. In a video posted on January 8th, 2024, Canadian YouTuber, entrepreneur, and exotic car enthusiast Damon Fryer was driving a Lamborghini in Costa Mesa, California, when he was pulled over by Officer Torres of the Costa Mesa Police Department. Mr. Fryer regularly travels from Canada to California and has shared several other encounters with California law enforcement officers on his YouTube channel. As Officer Torres approaches the vehicle, Mr. Fryer's passenger begins to film the encounter.
Hello.
See your license, please?
Yeah, sure.
It's not because of your loud exhaust.
Yeah, it's loud, isn't it?
It's a little too loud.
There you go.
Okay, look for the registration and insurance.
Yeah, it's right here. Well, loud exhaust. I understand. This car's not quiet. Maybe there's like a municipality ordinance thing that he gave me a ticket for. But this car's not from here, so he gave me a ticket for it being too loud because it's from California. Maybe he didn't know it wasn't from California until he pulled me over. We'll find out. He's pretty chill. What's really interesting is he asked me for my license, but then my insurance and my registration. But then he walked away.
He's taking pictures right now of the exhaust.
Well, that's fine. I'll ask him some questions about it, considering that the car is from Canada. I'm curious to know, like, what is the legal requirements of a tourist coming into this country? Because they're not informed. Like, they don't tell you at the border if you drive across the border, which we do, and they don't tell you when you fly down, like, listen, if you're driving a car down here, it has to be within these decibel limits or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm genuinely curious. I got all my paperwork right here. I'm just waiting for him to come back.
It looks like he's already writing the ticket without your paperwork.
That's fine. I am curious to know, like, how is it if you're from another country where we don't have the law, you know, for decibel limits in Alberta? The law really states that if you have a car here in California and you're registering it, you are to follow the laws here.
Hey, can I use the Huntington Beach address?
Pardon me?
It's not taking the British Columbia.
What do you mean?
Use your Huntington Beach address or no?
I don't have a Huntington Beach address.
Okay.
I have my Canadian address.
Okay.
What's the issue?
Yeah, it doesn't not taking it. This is all computers. I'll just do a paper one.
No, but what's the issue with the car? What's the issue with the car?
The loud exhaust.
Yeah, but it's not from here.
Officer Torres claims that the issue with Mr. Fryer's vehicle is the quote-unquote loud exhaust. There are several statutes that Officer Torres could be referring to with his claim that Mr. Fryer's exhaust is too loud. For instance, Section 27150 of the California Vehicle Code states that, quote, every motor vehicle equipped with an internal combustion engine and subject to registration shall at all times be equipped with an adequate muffler in constant operation and properly maintained to prevent any excessive or unusual noise, and no muffler or exhaust system shall be equipped with a cutout, bypass, or similar device. However, it is possible that a court would conclude that this statute did not apply to Mr. Fryer's Lamborghini, as it is registered in Canada, and therefore arguably not quote-unquote subject to registration in California. According to Section 6700 of the California Vehicle Code, individuals do not need to register their vehicles in California until they become residents or accept gainful employment in the state. And the statute states that, quote, a non-resident owner of a vehicle may operate the vehicle in this state without registering the vehicle in this state if the vehicle is registered in the place of residence of the owner and displays upon it valid license plates issued by that place. Therefore, assuming that Mr. Fryer did not reside in California and was not employed there, it is possible that a court would conclude that he could not be found guilty of violating Section 27150, since it only applies to vehicles that are subject to registration, although it is possible that a court could interpret this clause of the statute differently. Another potentially applicable statute is Section 27150.3 of the California Vehicle Code, which prohibits drivers from operating vehicles with exhaust systems that have been modified with a so-called whistle tip, which the statute defines as, quote, a device that is applied to or is a modification of a motor vehicle's exhaust pipe for the sole purpose of creating a high-pitched or shrieking noise when the motor vehicle is operated. Likewise, Section 27151 of the Vehicle Code bans individuals from operating vehicles with exhaust systems that have been modified, now quoting, in a manner which will amplify or increase the noise emitted by the motor of the vehicle, if the modification causes the vehicle to exceed certain decibel noise limits or violate Section 27150. It is unclear what specific statute Officer Torres is alleging that Mr. Fryer violated, but it is possible that the citation could be valid if the exhaust noise did not comply with any of these restrictions.
He goes, can I use your Huntington Beach address? So he knows who we are. So this officer, I think this officer is, and it is. Remember the guy who yelled at me and told me not to think? That's him.
No.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, so we're on Costa Mesa right now then?
Yeah, still.
What? I thought I recognized him.
Mr. Fryer realizes that he had been previously pulled over by Officer Torres in 2019. Mr. Fryer shared the encounter on his YouTube channel, and his video went viral. We also covered this interaction here on ATA, and I have included the links to both Mr. Fryer's video and our coverage of the encounter in the description below. I encourage you to check them out if you want some additional context regarding Mr. Fryer's history with Officer Torres.
Bro, so serendipitous. It is him. He's just pulling us over because he knows who we are.
Yep.
He's just being he's just being that guy.
I had to be very clear, when we were driving, we were in traffic. It's busy on this street, so we weren't revving or ripping around. It was very just driving normal.
He was really, had a hard time staying calm the last time. He's doing much better now.
Yeah, he actually.
He's probably watched the video. It's pretty interesting, though, that he asked me, and that was pretty funny. He's like, can I use your Huntington Beach address?
Interesting, because that's not on your license.
And I was like, well, I don't have a Huntington Beach address. And I don't when it comes to this car.
What color is your hair?
It's brown.
Color your eyes?
Green.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
And your weight? Let me see the registration.
Yeah, sure. So what's the issue with the car being a bit louder? It's from Canada, so it's a tourist car. It's not from here. So what would the ticket be for?
Which model is this?
It's a Murcielago. So what was interesting was he said, can you use my Huntington Beach address? I don't understand that. It's registered to the corporation in Alberta. So it's an Alberta car. It's got Alberta plates. You saw that, right? Well, you know now it's got Alberta registration, yeah. What's the issue though? Like an out of state car driving here is just like a noise violation. What's the ticket for?
I'll show you when I get done with this.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Without admitting guilt, I need you to sign here.
Yeah. So what's the ticket for?
Once you sign, I'll explain everything to you.
You won't explain it to me before I sign it? That seems a little unfair, don't you think?
A loud muffler.
Pardon me?
Loud muffler.
What? So I don't understand though. I want to know the law. So how is it that the law is?
So you sign here.
So what's the ticket for? What's it?
Muffler.
No, I understand that. So is it a fine or do I?
I'm warning you on the speed. So
Sorry, you're warning me on the what?
please sign.
Yes, I'll sign it, but I need you to explain to me what the.
Recorded right now. Okay, you're kind of delaying my dude is going to sign.
No, I understand, but you're asking me to sign something I don't understand.
Okay.
I just want to know what the ticket's for. So I understand you're saying loud exhaust, but how is it a car from Canada is breaking the law?
Please sign here.
I know, but so the ticket, what's the ticket for though? Do I have to fix it? Do I have to pay a fine?
Well, explain to them that the vehicle doesn't belong here, or it's not.
No, the vehicle belongs here. Are Canadian cars not allowed to come to the United States? You're not going to answer any of my questions? So I'm reading right here, code, loud muffler, speed visual estimation. So what's the speed visual estimation? What, pardon me? Well, you just said that you're writing me a ticket for a loud exhaust, but now you're saying there's a speed thing on here. So you're trying to sneak something else on here and you're trying to get me to sign something.
Where do we draw the line on this one?
I don't. What did you pull him over for?
Speeding and loud exhaust.
But you just said just loud exhaust.
I mean, he's delaying my duties right now.
You can always call a sergeant.
Officer Torres asks the other officer to confirm that Mr. Fryer is delaying his duties, seeming to imply that he could arrest Mr. Fryer for asking him questions before signing the citation, and Mr. Fryer signs the citation. Section 148 of the California Penal Code prohibits willfully resisting, delaying, or obstructing any peace officer in the discharge or attempt to discharge any duty of his or her office or employment. However, as the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over California, explained in the 2016 case of Sayaloa versus City of San Diego, quote, an individual's temporary refusal to comply with an officer's commands is not in itself a valid basis for an arrest, nor is an individual's peaceful verbal challenge to police action a valid basis. Similarly, in the 2015 case of Inri Chase, the Fourth District Court of Appeal of California noted that, quote, under California law, the fact that someone verbally challenges a police officer's authority or is slow to comply with orders does not mean that he or she has delayed an investigation. Likewise, in the 1993 case of People versus Quiroga, the First District Court of Appeal of California determined that a citizen who initially was uncooperative but eventually obeyed an officer's orders did not violate Section 148 by delaying the officer, reasoning that while the individual did comply slowly with the officer's orders, Penal Code Section 148 did not criminalize a person's failure to respond with so-called alacrity, defined as quote-unquote cheerful readiness to police orders. The court also held that the individual possessed the right under the First Amendment to dispute the officer's actions. In reaching this conclusion, the court cited the 1987 case of Houston versus Hill, in which the Supreme Court held that, quote, the First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers, and that, now quoting again, the freedom of individuals verbally to oppose or challenge police action without thereby risking arrest is one of the principal characteristics by which we distinguish a free nation from a police state. Given this case law, it is highly unlikely that a court would conclude that Mr. Fryer could be convicted of delaying Officer Torres, or even arrested for it, particularly given the fact that Mr. Fryer did not outright refuse to sign the citation, but simply asked Officer Torres questions before doing so.
You have until the 25th of March to take care of this. If you don't agree with the citation, you can go to court, and I will respond. So we'll the judge make a decision, okay?
Yeah. I think what we'll do is we'll go talk to your superiors.
Have a good day.
Yeah, later. What detachment is he from?
It's Costa Mesa Police Department.
Find me that address, please.
Okay. So yeah, you did get a speeding ticket.
All right. So I'm bringing my ticket to the office that officer's from. So I'm going to go and talk to someone, and I might even go as far as filing a complaint. I've also had a run-in with him before. He was very unprofessional. He's obviously not yelling or anything today, but he's also still being more unprofessional. And this is years later, so he has a habit of this. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I just had a traffic situation with Officer Torres.
Okay.
Officer Torres and I have had history.
Okay.
He pulled me over today, explained that he pulled me over for loud muffler.
Okay.
First of all, my car, myself, we're tourists. I'm from Canada.
Okay.
Car's not from here.
Okay.
So I guess the first part is I'd like a little more clarification on, if a car from Canada that doesn't have the same emission standards or noise standards, the province of Alberta that the car is registered to, doesn't have a decibel issue or anything.
Got it.
And it's essentially exempt from, having to follow those rules when traveling here based on the treaty between Canada and the United States, just like we can drive down here on our Canadian licenses.
Okay.
Mr. Fryer argues that, as a tourist from Canada, his vehicle is exempt from certain emission and noise standards in California under a treaty between the U.S. and Canada. In general, treaties are binding agreements between nations that become part of international law. Additionally, under the Supremacy Clause of Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, quote, all treaties made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. On September 19, 1949, the United States signed the Geneva Convention on Road Traffic, an international treaty focused on safety standards for road traffic, to which Canada later became a signatory. One of the primary benefits for motorists to come out of this treaty is that signatory countries are obligated to recognize the legality of vehicles from other signatory countries on their roads. Under Article 1 of the Convention of Road Traffic, quote, each contracting state agrees to the use of its roads for international traffic under the conditions set out in this convention. However, Article 22 requires that, quote, every motor vehicle and trailer shall be in good working order and in such safe mechanical condition as not to endanger the driver, other occupants of the vehicle, or any person upon the road, or cause damage to public or private property. In addition, every motor vehicle or trailer and its equipment shall conform to the provisions of Annex 6, and the driver of every motor vehicle shall observe the rules set out therein. Annex 6 of the convention, which outlines, quote, technical conditions concerning the equipment of motor vehicles and trailers in international traffic, and includes a list of equipment requirements for vehicles in international traffic, states that, quote, every motor vehicle shall have an exhaust silencer, also known as a muffler, in constant operation to prevent excessive or unusual noise, the working of which cannot be interrupted by the driver while on the road. Now, because international treaties supersede state legislation, it is certainly possible that a court could conclude that the Geneva Convention on International Traffic prevents California from imposing its particular exhaust noise limitations on a Canadian vehicle that otherwise complies with the provisions of Annex 6 of the convention. Still, even if a court concluded that some of California's exhaust laws could not be enforced, it is likely that a citation for a vehicle that did not have a muffler in constant operation to prevent excessive or unusual noise, as required by Annex 6, would still be legitimate.
So, giving me a ticket for loud exhaust, is that a city ordinance?
It's a California ordinance. California vehicle code. Can I see what he cited you for?
Yeah, so here's the reason why I have a real problem with it. He came back and said, my British Columbia address won't populate in his computer system.
Okay.
Could he use my Huntington Beach address? I said, I don't have a Huntington Beach address.
Okay.
So there's a company that I have down here that's in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
So he knows my car. He essentially knew the car, knew who I was before he even pulled me over. Because there's no information on my driver's license or on my car that would suggest that I have a Huntington Beach address down here.
Okay.
So right away, he's basically telling me indirectly, I know who you are. I know your car's down here at this
Dealt with you
location.
at some point.
And then on top of all that, he wrote on the ticket when he was trying to get me to sign it that I was speeding. And his visual estimation of me speeding is complete BS, because we were driving through an intersection just before he pulled me over, and I was in heavy flow of traffic. I'm not denying my car is probably loud based on some people's standards.
Sure.
Right? My car's foreign. It's not from here.
Okay. If you want to file a complaint,
I would, yeah.
Provide you a form.
Sure.
You're able to fill in the information.
Yeah, I've filled them out before. Now I got this form to fill out. This is what you got. Civilian complaint process. I'll take the loud ticket. I'm not taking the BS ticket that he tried to write me for speeding. There you go.
After he filed his complaint, Mr. Fryer promised to post an update on his YouTube channel regarding the results. As of the date of writing this episode, no update has been provided, but this is unsurprising given the recency of the encounter. It is unclear whether Mr. Fryer will be pursuing any legal action against Officer Torres or the department, or challenging the citation in court. Overall, Officer Torres gets an F for maintaining a gruff and unprofessional demeanor throughout the encounter, refusing to engage in reasonable dialogue with Mr. Fryer regarding the infractions he allegedly committed, implying that he would arrest Mr. Fryer for delaying a law enforcement officer when he likely did not have the probable cause necessary to do so, and apparently falsifying a speeding violation by Mr. Fryer. On multiple occasions, Officer Torres refused to respond to Mr. Fryer's inquiries, and when he did speak, he often bizarrely limited his answers to 1 or 2 words, leading to an incredibly awkward and uncomfortable interaction. Additionally, Officer Torres hinted that he would arrest Mr. Fryer for simply asking him questions about the citation, and seemingly attempted to sneak in a fabricated speeding violation on Mr. Fryer's citation without disclosing it. Officer Torres' conduct during this encounter reveals both a staggering lack of professionalism and an unacceptable disregard for Mr. Fryer's First and Fourth Amendment rights. And I hope that the Costa Mesa Police Department thoroughly investigates Mr. Fryer's complaint and responds appropriately. Mr. Fryer gets an A+ for remaining calm and articulate throughout the encounter, attempting to initiate a meaningful conversation with Officer Torres regarding the alleged muffler violation, and taking the time to file a complaint with the Costa Mesa Police Department regarding Officer Torres' behavior. Now, while Officer Torres refused to cooperate with Mr. Fryer's efforts to engage in productive dialogue, Mr. Fryer repeatedly attempted to question the citation in a respectful but assertive manner, and seemed to genuinely want to understand what was expected of him as a Canadian driver. I commend Mr. Fryer for his ability to keep his cool when dealing with an officer who refused to answer his questions, and for his willingness to pursue accountability by filing a complaint, clearly explaining his position to a supervisory officer, and sharing the encounter on his YouTube channel. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel for even more police interaction content.